Hey, welcome back to Gels on Sports. You got your guys Mike and Zach here. We are kicking butt as we always do. I was out of town last week, so we didn't get to do a pre-March Madness show. So we're here to break down the first weekend and talk a little bit about Sweet 16. Zach, how is it going?
No, I'm doing all right.
That is just friggin' amazing. I like your legacy created in Oklahoma stuff that's said behind you. It's like it's blowing in the wind there. It's really cool.
Yeah, I got my fan going because my ceiling fan, I yanked the cord too hard and the cord fell out. So
Oh,
I still need to get that fixed. So I have my little box fan and
okay.
it pushes things around on the wall.
Okay. Well,
But
hey, regardless, it looks cool. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm repping Gonzaga tonight. If for only one reason, it's the only you know, piece of merch I've got from the teams that are left in the tournament. So anyway, we had the uh, first weekend of March Madness happen, and it was exciting. You know, quite a few upsets. First round, second round was pretty much chalk, and a lot of well-deserving teams here left in the Sweet 16 for the games that are Thursday and Friday. But let's go back in time a little bit. Um, all right, so ESPN Tournament Challenge. I know that I think I put together 18 different brackets this time. You can do up to 25. That just yeah, after a while it gets kind of crappy. So 18 was a good round number. And man, I had it going on. I was gonna win the whole thing 100% first time ever. And then got to the result of the very first game Thursday, and I had like 16 of my brackets that were bust on the very first damn result. So did you do any better than that?
I was kind of upset this year because my best brackets last few years were the screw off ones that I make. Because I have ones where I try to analyze the teams and
Mhm.
how they play basketball, but I always make silly ones like whose logo's cooler, who would win in a football game. My favorite one is who wins in a fight.
Who wins in a fight? Yeah, that was pretty
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
that's the best one. Oh, that's my favorite one I make, and it sucked. I I have like 11% in that bracket, so um, they're fine, I guess. My other ones I tried on, but I have more fun making the stupid ones. But they because normally they do the best for me, but they
Hmm.
suck. But it is what it is. It's very unpredictable.
Oh my God, yeah, it's insane. Like when they released it a week ago Sunday, that night, I think I did three or four, and they were literally by the seat of my pants. And I was packing to travel Monday, spent most of Tuesday either in the airport or on an airplane. And I was in San Antonio last week, had a good time down there. But Tuesday evening, I was there at the hotel bar watching a couple of the play-in games. And there's a good game. I think it was Grambling and Wagner, I believe. That's a heck of a game. I'm sitting there watching that. And at that time, I had only done the brackets I did Tuesday or Sunday night. So I figured I needed to do some more. So on Tuesday and Wednesday, I deep dove, you know, did some quality homework, trying to figure out just what the heck to do. Was using historical analysis of like 1 and 16 Cs, 215, 6 and 10, and so on and so forth. And I got toward the end, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do one more. I finally got to number 18, and I was done for. I just couldn't do anymore. So, um, yeah, the very first game cost me the 100% bracket on 90% of my, submissions that I did. But all in all, there weren't a whole lot of people that had a great first day. There were a lot of upsets. One of them I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit was the Oakland. over Kentucky, which was pretty damn funny. That was one. There were some teams that did surprisingly well and are still alive. North Carolina State, they're a good story. But let's look at the surprises. So, who was your surprise over, first or second round, or who's still left?
Mine, they lost in the second round, but Yale, how they beat Auburn. I picked Auburn to win the championship in two of my brackets. Um, and the way that game started, I fell asleep. So I was watching the game, and Auburn was up by like 12 or something, and I didn't think twice about it. I woke up and I checked my phone like 2 hours after the game was done, and they lost. Yale beat them. I didn't expect that. Also, didn't expect Drake to lose. I was big on Drake winning.
Yeah,
They're
Drake kind of screwed me a little bit.
Yeah, they definitely screwed me. The Grand Canyon win was strange too. I didn't really understand that one, but besides that, I mean, I didn't see anything too nuts. Minus Kentucky, but Grand Canyon winning definitely sucked. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Besides that, I mean, I picked Duquesne. A lot of people saw that as a win for BYU. I've watched BYU basketball. They're a bunch of white dudes that aren't hoopers. They kind of just throw the ball in there and hope it goes in. So I didn't expect them to win. Um, my
Yeah,
other, my only other game that kind of pissed me off was FAU. I think they went to the Final Four last year, if
yeah,
I'm
they
not,
did.
and they lost first round. That sucked.
Yeah. Yeah, it was it's funny about BYU. We were talking about this last week, but we didn't get to do a show last week. It's like, hey, if BYU hits 45 or 50% of their three-pointers, they're going to win. Well, hell, if anybody hits 45 or 50% of their three-pointers, they're going to win. But they didn't do well. The the first result that got me is one that I should have known better about, and it was Michigan State beating Mississippi State. I drank the Mississippi State Bulldogs Kool-Aid. There was a lot of hype about them, a lot of talented physical players on that team who did great until they ran into Michigan State. Uh,
Oh, Michigan State's a staple in March, though. They're kind of like a UNC kind of
yeah,
team. They're always going to be there. So I uh, I know you. Um, I mean, you picked Purdue in one of yours. Uh, you probably picked Arizona somewhere in there.
I got
I
Arizona in one of them, man. I let me tell you, I've got hosed on Purdue and Arizona just about as many times as I've gotten hosed on Kansas over the years. It might take me another 20 years to keep getting hosed on Purdue and Arizona before I catch up with Kansas. But yeah, I do think that Arizona and Purdue are better than they have been this year, and I think they're both really good teams, and they've added some depth and some moxie, some toughness that's going to help them out. Honestly, it's a victory for Purdue in particular just to get to the Sweet 16.
I get that, but you got to realize that you're getting burned. I actually rewatched our shows we did last year, and just I called you an idiot live on air for you picking Arizona to win. I think they lost the second game in the tournament last year. Not second round, the second game, like the second.
Yeah, yeah,
So
no, yeah,
you just gotta trust history, man. Uh, like that Michigan State pick there. Um, it also kind of gets you at times. I'm gonna say personally, I'm a Baylor fan. Not really, but I like watching them play.
yeah,
And I pick them every year in March. And the last couple years, they've kind of stunk after they won the whole thing, which is
yeah.
fine. But I, off of history and how they've done, I've been picking them. So I kind of get it. But at the same time, it's these two teams every year, and I think next year you'll probably do the same thing.
Yeah, you're probably right. Actually, we can make a note of that at Tuesday, 26th of March at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I will almost certainly do the same thing. But there's some good stories that came out of the first round, in particular the Oakland victory over Kentucky. Hey, look, I drank the Auburn Kool-Aid, and I really drank the Kentucky Kool-Aid. And we know that Kentucky with Coach John Calipari, they've kind of cornered the market on getting these superstar freshman recruits every year. They sent a ton of the guys to the NBA in the first round, almost all of them of the one and done in college variety. This method has, it's paid off a couple times. They did win a national championship. They got to the Final Four one year with Anthony Davis with the undefeated team. Before they ran into a Wisconsin team that held a whole bunch of like 24-year-old guys. But this year they ran into Oakland, and I didn't know nothing about Oakland. It's just they were playing Kentucky, and hey, Kentucky's going to beat them because they've got all this talent. I looked at a mock NBA draft a little earlier today, and there's three Kentucky players due to go in the lottery, and that's all fine and dandy and stuff. But the thing is, they get all these guys who meet the NBA criteria of like lottery picks. When you piece them together as a team, they're getting their ass kicked when it counts in the big dance. And you get these guys that have played together for a matter of months against these teams like Oakland that had 6th-year guys out there. And I think that I'm not necessarily a Kentucky fan. I know my mom is. Shout out to the Grammy out there. She loves Kentucky. I don't know why, but she loves the Kentucky Wildcats basketball. Um, Actually, I do know why, but that's not important right now. But I think that their method, while they produced a lot of NBA millionaires, their basketball team has taken some serious dumps here in the come tournament time, and the fan base is not happy anymore.
Yeah, dude. I can't remember who said it, but these players are better college basketball players. The Dukes and Kentucky guys, they'll be better in the NBA and they'll go on to have better careers. But in this point in time, these other teams are better because they played together 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
And these guys are pieced together. They're very self centered and they're just there one and done.
Hmm.
Kentucky specifically has a very strange superiority complex in college basketball. We
I
saw this
concur.
last year, and it's weird because they haven't done a damn thing in 10 years.
Yep.
So they they look at everyone as inferior to them. We saw it last year with Kansas State, and uh, Calipari was talking about the short guy that beat the crap out of him, dropped like
Mhm.
30 points on him,
That's
and
right, man.
he wouldn't say his name. He just they have this weird thing to them where they just think they're better, and that's not just them, but that is going to get you burnt. And the one and done just doesn't work in a tournament setting. You got to have these guys with experience that play well together. But
Hmm.
the teams that really win right now in the next week or two are the teams that play for each other instead of for themselves. You can play together, you can be on the same page, but if you're playing for the guy next to you, you're gonna win. Compared
Yeah.
to these guys out there that are just looking for shots, endorsements, crap like that.
That was a good one, Professor Zach. That was a Teammate 101 lecture right there, man. That's legit. That's no BS. These guys are playing for each other, and we've seen it here in the teams that are in the Sweet 16. I saw a pretty cool graphic on USA Today sports page the other day. North Carolina's starting five players are the exact same age average as the Oklahoma City Thunder's starting five players. And yeah, they're keeping these guys a little bit longer. Iowa State, like where the hell did they come from? Big 12 number 2 seed, they're playing really well. Lots of upperclassmen on that team. San Diego State's full of upperclassmen. And when you get to this time of the year, and it's nothing new anymore. We see double-digit seeds beat much higher seeded teams on an annual basis now. We've had number 1 and 2 seeds lose in the previous couple years. Didn't happen this year. yet, but we've seen that. You got these teams that have played together with the same core of players for 2, 3, 4 years. A lot of guys got a sixth year with COVID. Um, they're just these very well-rounded teams. Are a lot of these guys going to play in the NBA? No, they're not. But um, that doesn't make a difference when it's March Madness.
Well, it's about right now.
Yeah,
You know, it's cool. You're gonna go make all this money and whatever, but end of the day, all you have is right now. And these guys are focused on the now. They're not focused on, oh, I'm going to the league. You know, some of these players on these teams on Kentucky, I bet their damn locker was cleared out within, 24 hours of them losing that game. They
yeah.
don't,
There's
they don't,
probably no trace of them on campus anywhere
no.
anymore.
So, yeah, those teams that they have that experience, we see it every year, actually. These
Mhm.
teams with these one and done guys, they're not going to make it. You got to have juniors and seniors. You got to play defense, get rebounds. Fundamental teams are going to be the ones that win. And I think, last year was a center and power forward centered, what do you call it, tournament. Like that's
Yeah,
what it was centered around. The winners had those guys down low. This year, it's just all around the perimeter playing defense. So that's been the key so far because we've seen teams like BYU um, that all they do is shoot threes, and if you are just there, like in their presence, they're just going to fall apart and suck. And you
mhm.
get transition, you drive to the hoop, get those easier shots. So that's what teams like Houston and Iowa State have been doing. And I like what they're doing. I like what UConn's doing. I drew this. It's going to sound really weird. I'm saying it on this. I was in the shower and I was thinking about UConn basketball. Okay, I was thinking about Nick Saban and their coach. Weird,
Yeah.
there's a weird connection here. So I
Dan
saw,
Hurley, your kind of coach. Yeah.
yeah. So he was pissed. I think they played Stetson first round or some silly
Mhm.
team. Um, they were up 52-19 at halftime, and he had a interview with a lady that was a sports broadcaster or whatever. And he was pissed. He's pissed at the world. He's like, terrible into the half, doing this wrong, this wrong. If we keep it up, we're gonna lose. And it just made me think of Notre Dame, Bama, and I think 2012. Bama was up 42-14
Oh gosh, Nick Saban. Yeah.
in the fourth quarter with like 3 minutes left, and they had a delay of game, and he ripped the quarterback apart for not snapping the ball.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. And we don't know how UConn's going to turn out. They've dominated everyone so far, like they did last year. But this team, with that mentality, they have a killer instinct. And I can't say that about anybody else in this bracket, but they do. Like they're going to go at you. It can be a 20-point lead, and they're going to bring in all their starters and finish out the rest of the game. That's how they
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a college basketball fan the last 30 years, you've seen that um, about every 5 or 6 years, UConn would toss a team out there that would win the national championship. And I think they've got five. I think they've got five. And in those, they haven't lost a national championship game. They've been very good. This time it's back to back, and yeah, I love what they're doing out there, and that's a great analogy. They're kind of taking like a Alabama Nick Saban football type approach to that with the excellence and the details and all that. And they've got San Diego State coming up, which interestingly enough is a rematch of the national championship game last year. Um, and San Diego State, hey, they're solid. They've kind of become like BYU was before BYU started getting number one seeds every year. I like San Diego State. They're good. Their time is done. UConn is just those guys are they're on fire. They got it all. They got the guard play. They got the giant guy, 7-footer Klingman down low. Uh, they can hit threes. They can play that dirty ball. They can play half court. They can push it. They can score. there isn't one team left that can expose something UConn has that UConn can't overcome. So, um, hey, you still got to win, 4 games, and it's easy for us out here in the critique world to say that maybe somebody could get them. Well, yeah, somebody could because you still got to play the game, but they look so good right now, and they've been very impressive. I have to give props to North Carolina. Okay. Um, they've taken care of business out there, beat the tar out of a tough as a $2 steak Michigan State team that, even though I didn't pick them to get out of the first round, they almost always get to the Sweet 16. North Carolina looks really good. Then they got a bunch of guys that have experience from their championship game a few years back who are still there.
I really like them. I really like them a lot. They play well together. I didn't see the Houston lost to Iowa State and the UNC lost to NC State as a big deal for those two teams going into the tournament,
Yeah.
and still tore it up so far. So
Yeah.
I like what UNC's doing. Really, you want to talk about experience? They got it. That Armando Baycott, big fella,
Mm,
that guy, he's been in college since I was in like ninth grade.
that's
So
good.
uh, he's been there a long time. I really like what they're doing. I really like NC State too. They have a good matchup with Marquette. I don't believe in Marquette. I think they play a bunch of.
I've been burned on Marquette before, not as much as Purdue, Arizona, and not nearly as much as Kansas. But when I think Marquette, I still think of Dwayne Wade, and Dwayne Wade hadn't played there in many years.
Yeah,
Marquette has had a good run. I don't think they were, even though they had a pretty solid record, I don't think they're deserving of a number 2 seed. They
no,
almost got beat by Colorado. Um, I think it's the end of the line for them versus NC State. NC State's a good story. And hey, make no mistake about it, NC State's playing with house money. They won 5 straight games to win the ACC. They weren't going to get into the tournament if they didn't win their conference tournament. So they're playing with house money. They're fun to watch. Who's that guy, Burns, the big guy?
yeah,
Uh, for our North Carolina fans or haters out there, he reminds me of this guy, gosh, 15 years ago, named Marvin Williams. I remember they played Illinois in the national championship game, and Marvin Williams, he was built like Burns is, 6'9", 300 pounds. Kind of looks like Charles Barkley out there, but just totally dominated inside the paint. And that's where the comparison with NC State, North Carolina, those teams ends. But the guy reminds me of that, and they're fun to watch. I do think that NC State they're on a roll, and I think it's going to last one more game before they get the winner of Duke and Houston in the Elite Eight.
we Duke isn't going to do anything. I think Duke is due for their seasonal collapse as soon as they play a team with a pulse. So Houston plays too good of defense. Duke has a bunch of goofballs on their team that seem to be preoccupied with other things. So I think Houston is going to win that game based off their defense. That could be like a 73-56 kind of thing. I mean,
You
Duke
know,
did score a lot, but I don't know.
I would totally agree with you, and I still do about 80%. But what the hell happened with Houston versus Texas A&M the other day? 195. Houston's supposed to be this defensive juggernaut, and they won the game. Okay. Um, I guess what recent history has shown me is that Houston is one of those teams that's really good at having a short memory. It doesn't seem like the previous result is going to have anything to do with what is expected out of them in the next game. That's not always the case for teams, but I don't think that previous game will affect them too much.
Well, that's the thing because it's always about the next one. Like you could win on this amazing 20-point comeback, buzzer beater, half court. Doesn't matter. You still got
Yeah.
to move on. So my big thing about that game though was, and this has been really bad in the tournament, but they're so quick on the whistle. Guys are driving and they
Mhm.
get tapped on the shoulder, it's a foul. A&M had 45 free throws in this game. Okay. And they hit 29. They had 26 offensive boards, which that's very out of character for Houston. But
Yeah, yeah.
the foul problem, that's I don't think that happens probably again the rest of the tournament for Houston. That's nuts though. 45 free throws is crazy. Um, but and March is weird. Kentucky lost to Oakland, so um, I'm not really concerned with that at all. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I like Houston over Duke. I got some buddies that are big time Duke fans. I'm sure they're putting pins in their voodoo doll that they have of me right now, but they'll get over it. I'm taking NC State over Marquette. Gonzaga Purdue on Friday, 7:39 p.m. Eastern time. That's going to be a fun game. I like both of those teams. Granted, Purdue has screwed me over the years, but something just kind of smells good about them this year. I don't know what it is. Maybe the new deodorant. I don't know. But that said, Gonzaga is playing lights out, and this is the freaking Gonzaga team that everybody was dumping on. Okay. And I think I saw since January, the only team that's beat them at all is St. Mary's. Um, I like the Zags. I like them a lot.
See, normally I'm not too big on them because of the West Coast Conference, which is
Yeah.
very bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very, very poor conference. And another thing in the tournament, these teams, they're more noted because of money and network deals. You watch them on TV. Like we didn't
Hmm.
watch Oakland play this year.
Hmm.
We didn't watch these teams like Grand Canyon play. We're watching Tennessee and Arkansas on Saturdays and Super Tuesday and stuff like that. So that's a part of it. End of the day, you got to get on the court and play. And Gonzaga has played really well despite their schedule. They and it's funny saying this about Gonzaga, but they're unassuming this year. Nobody was talking about Gonzaga.
Hmm.
No one was saying, "Oh, top 2, 3 picks." It was not Gonzaga winning. So they're unassuming. They don't have those superstar guys that are going to be lottery picks. They don't have that. They're not 32-0. So they're kind of unassuming for their standards. They're playing a Purdue team that I think sucks, number one seed, but number one seed in the Big Ten. That what does that mean? That's like I can't even make a comparison for that because the Big Ten sucks so bad.
Yeah, I
And
hate the
Purdue,
Big Ten.
Purdue, they're not athletic enough. I think Gonzaga is gonna blast them in this game. I like them a lot. I like them. I like them to go to the top four, actually.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this is the Midwest. The winner of this team gets Creighton or Tennessee, who are both really good teams, but very vulnerable, in my opinion. Gonzaga or Purdue, whoever wins that one, I believe will make the Final Four. I would love to see Gonzaga win. The thing is, for all the crap that Zach Edey is not an NBA player and all this stuff. All the dude does is go out there and get 25 points and 10 rebounds and dominate the paint every night. I don't know what else you could ask, but with he's one thing. He's a constant. He's like Thanos out there. You can't stop him. He's going to get his. The thing that really put Purdue over the top this year is their 3-point shooting is much better. So I think that's going to be what decides this game. Who hits better percentage from downtown? And Gonzaga is not a downtown shooting team. They never are. If you go back and look at some of their recent vintage, they're more pound the rock, pull up jumper stuff like that. So neither one of these teams has much depth. this is going to be fun. I am taking in the game. I'm going to pick Gonzaga, but either way, I'll be happy. I think this is going to be the best game of the Sweet 16.
I just think you watch that Purdue team play, and they're very clunky. They definitely align with Big Ten and their formula. They are hard to watch. They are not athletic. They're running into each other, having silly fouls and crap like that. I'm personally not big on Zach Edey, whatever you want to call him. He thinks he's very strong and tough. He's like 7'8", and he's getting rebounds over 6'2" guys on Grambling and flexing in their face. Like the guy's a dork. Um,
He's
I don't think
passionate. He's passionate.
you can frame it that way, whatever. But I just don't believe in Purdue personally. I yeah, I in a fight in my bracket, who wins in a fight? I'd say a train would beat a bulldog, but I think I'm gonna go with Gonzaga anyways.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think that's going to be a hell of a game, regardless, and it's going to be fun to watch. Let's see
Uh,
on the Thursday games, like in the East. We already talked about UConn and San Diego State a little bit. In the East, you've got Illinois and Iowa State, and yeah, both of these are good stories. Again, they really emphasize the defense. Um, I had no faith in Iowa State at all. I don't think I had them going to the Sweet 16 in any of my brackets, but I don't think it matters. Whoever wins this game is almost certainly going to get UConn, and neither one of them can hang with UConn. They don't have the dudes to do it.
I don't know, man. I personally, you said Gonzaga Purdue is the best game. I think this one is. And as much as I crap on Big Ten basketball, the one team that actually is all right to watch is Illinois. They score a lot. Um, they have some fun players out there. I really like Iowa State and what they've done, especially defensively. Them
Mhm.
in Houston, I like them in Houston based off defense. A lot of teams nowadays they kind of just let you do whatever on offense. A lot of teams don't know what to do when teams are consistently driving or pulling up for jump shots. We don't want to cover that. We just want to sit on the 3-point arc and stare at you. So
Yeah, yeah.
they play tight defense. Um, I think that's the best game of the Sweet 16. And if you miss any other game, that's fine. But I think I'd watch that one. You can find time to watch that. You got to watch that game.
Now we just got a couple more minutes left. And speaking of defense, let me go to the opposite way. You've got North Carolina and Alabama. Alabama, I get to play better defense than they do out there, but boy, they like to score and they push the ball. I was chatting with my brother this morning, and I said the Alabama Crimson Tide basketball team at 2024, they're the team that kind of reminds me of the glory days of UNLV, Loyola Marymount. Billy Ball, Billy Tubbs, the University of Oklahoma back in the late 80s, early 90s. They push the ball quickly. They try to score within 7 or 8 seconds of getting possession, and they're going to get slaughtered by the Tar Heels.
They
Okay.
are. I like how you turned the corner there. North Carolina, they're too athletic, they're too experienced. I like Alabama. I don't think they have much of a shot. I think especially in a game like this, it'd be a good chance for them to switch the tempo up and kind of keep it more balanced or slow it down. Just change the game. You have some tape of these teams already, and you could just totally flip that on your next opponent's head. Try a different game plan. Could get you bit, but it could also throw them off enough. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I do think North Carolina is gonna beat the brakes off of them though.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the last game is Clemson and Arizona, and I don't think Clemson's got any chance in that, other than Arizona tends to take a dump in the tournament. That's the only chance that Clemson's got.
I don't know, man. This Clemson team, they took down a tough Baylor team, New Mexico team that was pushed in the media to make a solid run. I I like what I see out of them. The ACC is very tough,
Mhm.
and as you said, Arizona kind of takes a dump. I think this is their porta potty game here. I think they're going to fall apart, and I think we'll have a North Carolina Clemson Elite Eight for the ACC right there. That's what
Yeah,
I
I think
think.
so too. I do like your porta potty take a dump. We should send that to Dick Vitale. Maybe he can use it for his diaper dandies, you know. Baby,
Yes.
diaper dandy, PT beer, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, so we're down to less than a minute here. So let's see. I didn't have anything exciting to eat this weekend. Let's see. Chipotle chicken al pastor is pretty good. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, I think need to get some Rooster's wings tomorrow or something like that. That's been a while. Um,
I'm just taking exams and waiting for UNC to win the whole thing. That's all
all
I'm doing.
right. Well, I tell you what, folks, we've had a good show tonight, and we'll be back next week with our Final Four preview, and we're getting pretty close to UFC 300, so we'll get there too. So, like and subscribe. Gels on Sports. Mike was here tonight. Zach was here tonight. We will see you next time.